Hey everyone, in today's video we'll take a look at how we can control the CPUs that Maya is using. Alright, so here I have a simple Bifrost simulation set up, and really this will work not only for simulations, but I use it a lot when I'm rendering in Maya, like especially if we're doing a batch render. There's usually times where you're rendering or you're doing a simulation or something is taking up a lot of processor power. You can see this is moving along, but it's moving very, very slowly. And a lot of that just has to do with the speed of the computer that it's processing. But depending on how long this takes, I've had simulations or renders take days and days and days. You probably need to use your computer while it's rendering, and if Maya is using up all of your CPU, then you're probably not going to really get much else done on the system. It's just going to run really, really slowly. So let's look at how we can tell Maya to not use as many CPUs, so that way we can actually use the computer while it's either rendering or simulating or doing whatever. All right, so to do this, I will need to go to the taskbar in Windows. So this is off the screen, but if you right-click on your taskbar, you'll get your Task Manager. You'll see that. So here is the Task Manager, and right now you can see Maya is using about 90% of my CPU. It's kind of jumping around a little bit as it's simulating, but it's using most of the processing power on my computer. So depending on what you're doing, you may see this as Maya or the batch render. You can see this here. Let's right-click on this, go to Details, and that's going to take us over to the Details panel and pop us to this particular process. Now, again, if you are doing a batch render, it's not going to be Maya. It's going to be mayabatch.exe. If you prefer, another way to do this would be just to come up to the very top and then sort by CPU, and you'll be able to see what's using most of your CPU power here. But once you have this, if you right click, go to Set Affinity, you'll see all of the different CPUs that you have. So I have quad core essentially on my system, so I only have 4 CPUs. So if I wanted to say tell Maya to only use 2 of those, I can uncheck those, hit OK, and now if we go look at our process, it'd probably be a little bit easier if we look over here. We can see now Maya is only using about half of my CPU power, which really what that means is now I have half of my CPU power for really anything else that I'm working in, and you'll find that this really helps free up a lot of processing power that you can then use, basically use your computer at the same time. It's not going to freeze up as much. All right, so hopefully that's a helpful tip for you. I know it's really saved me a lot when I need to use my computer in the middle of a batch render. You can always come back in and turn that back on to tell Maya to start using those CPUs again. Just one thing to keep in mind, if you are doing something like a batch render, it's not going to kick off and use those CPUs until the next frame of whatever it's working on. It's not going to do that mid-frame, I've noticed. But it's a really helpful tip to be able to use your computer while you're rendering or simulating or whatever else you may be doing. All right, so hopefully this was helpful. Subscribe to my channel if you'd like to see more tips and tricks. And until next time, have a great day.